Gadsby's Tavern, by the way, is a storied place that I'd like to point out. We need to come here and eat more dinners. It's not just bringing our relatives here when they visit on occasion. This is a wonderful place where we can not only show history as it is lived in Alexandria, but also show where much of our nation's history began. We know that Jefferson had his inaugural ball here. We know that, importantly, Washington began his political career here, where he ran for surveyor here at Gadsby's and won. Isn't that good? I'm going to drink that water out front, because that's very important. Well, I'll tell you, here at Gadsby's, I don't know what this back courtyard was used for, but I imagine it had to do with horses and the necessary. So watch your step back there. He roamed these streets and, frankly, started our nation in a way that had a lot to do with democracy. It had a lot to do with debate. And importantly, it had a lot to do with what Alexandria, as a small seaport town that grew into a thriving seaport town, represented in the young history of our nation. It's a history that I certainly appreciate and celebrate. It's a history that is built into the fabric of our streets. It's built, frankly, into the lives that we live. It may be where we raise our family, but we raise them in a wonderful setting, a setting that can't be lost to a variety of good ideas. It's a fabric that makes us different from many cities, and a fabric that makes us admired by many Americans. You can't walk through these streets and not see the many tour buses pointing at the locations that we call home and wondering why they can't have a walkable, livable city like we see here in Alexandria.
Hey, right.
We all love this city. We love it for its neighborhoods. We love it for its diversity. We love it for what it represents as a community that is not just educated, but active. They may be awfully active sometimes, and we know that's okay. But it is also neighborhoods and communities that I think cherish each other's disparate views and collective energy. I am proud and happy tonight that in this crowd we have Republicans, independents, and discerning Democrats, dare I say. You might meet somebody you haven't met before. It's a wonderful thing. It is great. And they rally around not politics tonight. We rally about the issues that are important to us. It's the policies, not the politics. We have said enough to the types of planning that cause us to be not neighbors, but enemies. That's ridiculous. We all love the city equally. We're brought together in a way through these plans and these policies that cause us to have conflict. A good leader can figure out how to rally a team, not break it apart. Good leadership is built on principled leadership, frankly, respect, and a variety of actions that cause trust in the city and trust in the person. I'm worried a little bit about our neighborhoods. I'm worried about our community. I don't think we've got the type of leadership we need. On occasion, we're well managed, thanks particularly to two of the current city council members. Equally so, we have a lot of good vision. A lot of good vision in the business community, thanks to Val Hawkins and others. Members of the business community who see the big picture, understand what Alexandria can be, and are working hard to get us there. I'm not certain that we have a city council with equal vision or equal understanding of their role, their leadership responsibilities, and how to get from here to there. What we see is planning accomplished without citizen engagement early. We see planning accomplished without adequate analysis. We see planning accomplished, however, whenever it appears to fit the political calendar. Why are we rushing to failure? In many cases, we find inadequate planning cause developer frustration and citizen angst. This isn't the way it has to be. If you don't believe me that we have problems in planning, go out to Seminary where it crosses 395 and stare at the horizon.
All right.
And there you will see a monument, as I call it, Mount Wastemore. Mount Wastemore out there is in fact a monument to lousy planning, poor foresight, and frankly, an inability or unwillingness to accept responsibility. We see a council now that's comprised of two incumbents and 2 aspirants who in fact were there at the time that decision was made, and it's affecting every bit of our lives. Traffic on Quaker, Metro at the King Street station, now it's expanding with $7 million more to get more bus bays, to clog up King Street, etc. I'm not against development. I stand for mixed-use development, scale to match locale, and regard to the community and what the community asks and needs to maintain their quality of life. That is entirely doable. That is entirely reasonable. It's not something that I'm proud to say I've seen a lot of. I put many, as Mike said, communities together, whether it was in Bosnia, whether it was in Germany, whether it was in Korea, or whether it was in other areas of the world where I've served. And typically it takes communication, it takes trust, and frankly it takes hard work. It's not the staff's job to put together a plan. It's the leader's job to direct, give proper guidance, ask the right questions, and assure that the plan is executed. We don't see that in this city.
Hey, Ron!
Now, I've selected for my campaign slogan, Reset. And let me tell you why. It is not an empty slogan. R. It doesn't stand for Republican. It stands for respect. Respect to the citizens. Our willingness to use common sense, frankly, civil language, and our ability to respect the rights of citizens to put their own thoughts forward and for us to listen carefully and act as we can against their interests. So respect is fundamentally something we have to have. E stands for excellence. Excellence in all that we do, with standards, objectives, and people held accountable for accomplishment of that. Not only staff, but the city government. Excellence in all that we do. S stands for service. Service is our #1 and foremost responsibility when we swear in and become part of a government here in Alexandria. It's not us being served by the people, it's us serving the people. And it has to be obvious by our words and deeds that we understand the difference. Service is fundamental. The 4th E, the E stands for economy. It is tough times here. 20 years ago in 1992, they built a master plan for Alexandria. It talked about green space, parks, livable communities, neighborhoods that we regarded 20 years ago. Great piece in the Washington Post last weekend. 20 years ago, what did we see? We saw our incomes increasing, we saw our portfolios going up, we saw our jobs improving, increasing, we saw our kids being employed. 20 years ago was a great moment in time. Well, after that, after we saw the most recent recession, as it said in the article, we've lost ground. 20 years of gains were lost. People are out there worried about their incomes, worried about their jobs, and frankly worried about their taxes. The economy is real and must be regarded. It is a criteria for our decisions, a backdrop we have to consider. We have to be careful that we're spending dollars like dimes instead of dimes like dollars. We have to look at the economy of our actions and the thrift of our work. That is something we need to spend a lot of attention to. I give great applause and credit to Frank and Alicia for attending to that task. Thank you very much.
All right.
And you know what happens? You know it rains. You know what happens if you have respect, if excellence is your watchword, if service is your foremost responsibility, if economy is your regard, what do you get? Trust. Trust. Trust.
All
reset.
Right.
Reset. 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 That is what we're about. It's not hang 'em high. It's not throw the bums out, because that's not respect. It is reset. Let's get back to first principles and common sense. A man that I have great respect for, General Reimer, Chief of Staff in the Army, when I first became a general, he said, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, as we listen to his good guidance, he said, your job as a general is to listen carefully, think deeply, and when necessary, ask the right question. Not to lord over your troops, but to listen carefully, think deeply, and ask the right question. I've lived by that creed. Never miss an opportunity to keep your mouth shut. But when you open it, you ought to have something to say. You ought to have something to say. And I am running so that I can be part of the solution, help solve the problems, and promote a much better future for our city. And do it collectively as part of a team. One of my favorite stories across the street, Washington, as he had his troops assembled in the square 100 feet from here, waiting for Braddock, French and Indian War, Washington, sitting there and talking to his troops, and who came up? Colonel Payne. Colonel Payne said, General Washington, why are you supporting Colonel Fairfax in the House of Burgesses election? Very upset with him. Politics in Alexandria, okay? Well, Colonel Payne hit General Washington, knocked him to the ground. And General Washington's troops weren't going to have any of that. They're about ready to take him apart. General Washington parted the crowd, pulled Payne to his feet, and said, I need to see you in my tent tomorrow morning. True story. Next morning, everyone knew it's either going to be a duel or someone's getting fired. Showed up at the tent, walked in, General Washington sitting there with 2 glasses of wine. He said, sit down, we can work this out. They did, and the rest, as they say, is a street name Payne and the history of our city. We can be part of the solution. We don't have to worry. It's not all gloom and doom. We love this city. It's why we live here, why we raise our family here, and why we work here. This is a group of people in this setting here who understand that deeply, but are equally concerned. I simply ask and appreciate your support. It's a race. It's not a sprint. It's more like a marathon. Marathon takes energy. And money, dare I say. I thank you for your help and support. I look forward to your friendship, frankly, your guidance and counsel, as we get the job done we need to reset City Hall, build a better future for our city, and be part of the solution as we reset City Hall. Thank you very much.